folks. Welcome to the June 23rd meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 9th, 2014?
So moved.
Second.
Move second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. We have
Yes, we have one just signed in.
One just made the deadline for public participation. If you'd like to come up. And before I ask you to identify yourself, just for public participation, you have no more than 3 minutes to talk about what you're here to discuss. It's not a give and take between the board, but based on what you're saying, we have an opportunity at the end to discuss it, to publicly discuss and comment on what you, if we choose, what you're about to talk about. So, just so we get the ground rules down. If you could identify yourself, and then please feel free to speak.
Jennifer Laramo. And I just have a question that I know you can't answer right now, but it is a question on why the rules were changed to the peddler's license bylaws in September.
All right.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it. Just want to know why they were changed. And I know you can't answer me right now.
No, and we've talked about it at meetings, but we will certainly address your question at the end, and I'm guessing the focus is on a particular peddler.
Well, it probably all the peddlers it affects. I, off the top of my head, can only think of one that can't move, but, you know, future peddlers, anybody. I just want to know why it's changed.
Okay, absolutely.
It might be a valid reason, but nobody I know seems to know it.
We'll certainly, I'm guessing that some of us will talk about that at the end of the meeting when we go through some public hearings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jan. Okay, seeing that that's our only public participation.
Do some minutes requiring a vote, because we can't go to that until 7:40.
Okay.
6A.
Yep. We are going to move to 6A through D if we have the time, because we have a few minutes before we can move into our public hearings. So, on 6A through D, these all involve requests from the event planning committee, specifically about the Festival Italia, and I would move this over to Paul Donaco to address.
The event planning committee is seeking to once again conduct its Italian Festival Italia on Saturday, August 23rd, 2014, with a rain date of August 24th, 2014, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. This request will shut down certain portions of Main Street and Albion Street. We've tightened it in a little bit more, leaving Lincoln and Richardson Streets open. We're not shutting down the interconnect streets. We are shutting them down so they can't access to Main Street. The request is to utilize Lincoln Street for our parking lot if necessary, and use the Galvin parking lot if available for festival parking. The last request is for a 4-day liquor license to be used at possible locations within the associated event area as well. And that is the 4 requests for the event planning committee. That would be my motion.
Any discussion?
I move approval with one little discussion. Is it gonna be a classic car show again?
Absolutely. It'll be a classic car show. We'll have hopefully the beer garden, with hopefully having a vineyard this year. Plenty of children's activities, stages, entertainment, hopefully plenty of food as well.
I'll
Do we have
second
a
Paul's
second?
motion.
Thank you. Phyllis, you second or a comment?
I'll have a discussion, but you want to second it first?
We already did.
Betsy seconded.
Oh, it's all set, okay. One of the things that I'm concerned about is, you say here, between 11 a.m. and 10 p.m., 9 p.m.
Yes.
Are you going to shut off downtown? At what time?
We're shutting
last
this-
time we had, last year, it was not good. It was closed like at 9 o'clock in the morning.
And we moved
But
it up to 11
people have
o'clock.
to get to the bank and to the stores. So is all of downtown gonna be open until 11 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay, and then you'll start preparing after 11?
Clarification, the street gets closed at 11, the event starts at 2.
Oh,
The
okay.
event ends at 8, and that gives the DPW crew an hour to clean up and open up the street again.
Okay, that's fine.
So the actual event is 2 to 8. We talked to the merchants, they agreed to the 11 o'clock closing of Main Street instead of a 9 o'clock closing of Main
Okay.
Street. And they were appreciative of the fact of having Lincoln Street and Richardson Street open to traffic.
Okay, that's good. Because I know,
But we listened to what they said from last year.
okay, all right. I just want the people that are listening to understand that it's gonna be
And I'm
more
agreeing-
convenient
and
for
I'm
them.
agreeing with you, and I'm
Yeah,
agreeing with you,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? Okay, so we have a vote on the time and date of the event, the closing of particular streets, utilizing Lincoln Street if necessary in Galvin, if available for parking, and then a 4-day liquor license for different venues associated with the event. Is there a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Excellent.
Thank
Motion
you.
carries. 3 minutes. Go down to E. There was a request from Sharon Gilly, Director of the Lucius Beebe Library, to accept and expend a gift or gifts in the amount of $1,068 from various donors with thanks.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Excellent. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anything else we can do quickly?
I bet I can do,
Traffic? No?
I could do, oh, okay, if you want to do the traffic ones, I bet you could, yeah.
Okay. Why don't we move down to J? Request from the Traffic Advisory Committee for the following recommendations. The first recommendation is to install a stop sign on Winship Drive where it intersects with Mansion Road. The stop sign requires northbound traffic on Winship to stop before entering Mansion. There's an increased amount of traffic on Winship now that the old NAS Academy campus has been developed into a residential area of approximately 50 homes.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Second request is to install a yield sign on the eastern portion of Elm Street northbound where it merges with the western portion of Elm Street. Currently, there are no traffic control signs where these two portions of roadway intersect.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Third, install a stop sign on Butternut Road where it intersects with Gumwood Lane. Due to the configuration of the roadway, the Traffic Advisory Committee is recommending a stop sign be installed approximately 10 feet back from the intersection with a white stop line painted on Butternut at that intersection.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And lastly, the Traffic Advisory Committee considered a request from the business owner of A Touch of Solitude for time-restricted parking in front of the business located at 294 Water Street. The committee is recommending that the area of roadway in front of the business be posted with a 2-hour time restriction for parking. The time-restricted area should be between the driveway at the western end of the building and the driveway at the eastern, which is approximately 2 to 3 parking spaces.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we go into the joint meeting with the planning board, which is scheduled for 7:40, to fill the position held by Jonathan Kaufman, and we will be appointing one person.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes?
They have
If
to
you would come up, please.
They gotta come up and do the same thing. They don't delay either as well.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We do not have a quorum, we only have 2 members with us tonight.
But
So-
I still think you need to open your meeting.
Okay. So I will open the special joint planning board selectmen meeting of, I don't even know what the date is today.
June 23rd.
June 23rd.
Thank you. All right.
And it's my understanding that this is a meeting to fill a position held by Jonathan Kaufman,
Correct,
and you're seeking to appoint one person.
correct.
And you received two?
There were two, yes,
And-
two applicants.
Does your board have a recommendation about this position?
Yes, we would recommend Chris Fowley. He did run a writing campaign at this last election, so he has actually made the effort to come on the board already. So
Excellent.
that would be our recommendation.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion to appoint Christopher J. Fowley of 21A Summer Street to fill a position of Jonathan Kaufman on the planning board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. So moved. And we need a roll call to close the meeting.
Move
Yes,
that we close this particular session of the agenda.
Second.
yes.
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 Excellent. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Every time you come here, it's very easy.
Yes.
It is.
Easier and easier.
So, do we have people here?
You got 9 minutes before you can go into the,
So, you got 9 minutes.
Oh, 9 minutes, okay.
you can do it. And then I can do something for you.
Okay. We are gonna move to agenda letter I on the agenda. There is a request from the West Side Social Club 4th of July Committee to use the upper and lower commons to hold the annual 4th of July celebration on Thursday, July 3rd, 2014, beginning at 6 a.m. to Saturday, July 5th, 2014, ending at 6 a.m. And to,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. And to use Veterans Field on Friday, July 4th, beginning at 7 a.m. and ending immediately after the fireworks display that same day. And to also hold a small march from the American Civic Center to the Common on July 4th, beginning at 5 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent.
I might point out the board is welcome and invited on that march, hometown march. And for the people at home, so we don't get a lot of phone calls, the lights will be on at the sports fields that night. So the Galvin Sports Fields, the Beasley Sports Field, Landrigan Field, because we don't want any fireworks displays on those fields,
Oh.
where they're
Right.
newly minted. So, thank you.
Okay. We have 6 minutes before we can enter our next
Should we go
hearing.
around the table, Madam Chair?
Want to go to F? I can-
I think we can go to F. I don't think we need to. What is that?
Yeah, right. I think I can-
Oh, okay. This is Town Administrator's fiscal year wrap-up for the year 2014.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The board knows, and they received this in their packet, actually, fiscal year 2014 ended in a very smooth, positive manner for the town of Wakefield. And although there are always some reserve fund transfers, because to move money around and cover some shortfalls in this particular area, I think the town is going to end the year very well. We should return approximately $1 million extra to free cash at the end of the year, which will put us, well over the $6 million range. And I am hoping that we'll have new growth at $1 million for FY15. So I do give great credit to the department heads for handling their budgets very well, and for Kevin Gill for really masterfully managing all of the accounts. I think it's important to note that we're returning this money to free cash, even though this year we did, this board in particular took the step to put extra money into debt service, extra money into stabilization, and extra money at town meeting, which this board supported, into a special education circuit breaker account, or stabilization account, I should say, for the school department. That came out of free cash. So even though we made those commitments, along with extra commitments to roads and things like that, we're in very good fiscal shape. And for those of you that have been on this board for the past 6 or 7 years or so, this certainly is much better than we were 6 years ago. So great job all around. But just so you know, I will be going to the Finance Committee to move some money for some areas that did have some shortfalls in this year, and I thought I'd share that with you just so you know what's going on. I do not need a vote of the Board of Selectmen for this, by the way. So one little bit of power that I have. Election expense. As you know, we had 2 extra elections this year. We had a special election for the senatorial spot that Catherine Clark left. We had the primary and the special election on that. Because this was just our area, this wasn't statewide, we're not getting reimbursed by the state like we have in other elections. So because of that, each election is about $15,000, $16,000. It's about a $31,000 overdraft in those accounts because we don't plan for elections that aren't scheduled. So that's one item. Professional medical. We require physicals of every new employee in town. And if it is in a public safety aspect, we also require a mental health check as well. Those are more expensive. So we're hiring some new police and firefighters, as you know, and because of that, that line item has gone up. I don't expect to increase that next year. This happens to be a year where we had a number of physicals that we had to do. Fire department had a retirements of $52,000 in vacation sick time buybacks, as well as $55,000 in overtime needed to staff both fire stations. And what's important to know in the fire department is that we were down 5 or 6 firefighters. So what that means is that we have to keep both fire stations open, so there is overtime that we incur there. We also have some thermal imaging cameras that we're taking care of that takes that too. DPW, $15,000 to complete some of the energy upgrades in the Civic Center. Unfortunately, those items that didn't get done in time and rented in time, no fault of the DPW department, so we had to cover some of the payback because we didn't get the rentals there. Veterans, which is a $37 increase. I'm very happy that we continue to do more for the veterans. And we get up to 75% of this reimbursable by the state. We turn no veteran away that needs assistance from the town of Wakefield. And we've been increasing this budget every year, and the new group in there, Ryan and Andrew, are doing such a great job in outreach that this is one that I'm very proud of, actually, that we go back and it's, we think of where that program was a few years ago and where it's gone now. Vocational school, we did have an additional student show up at the Minuteman Tech, so we had to cover that. And unfortunately, workers' comp, we had a mid-year adjustment due to our experience model. We don't have that when we set the budget in the beginning of the year. We have already undertaken steps to help prevent claims with our supervisors and what have you. And this is across the board. Could be town hall people, could be DPW people, could be schools. So we're looking at that. There are some stars, people that returned money. Group health insurance is probably going to return close to $675,000. Council on Aging, $21,000. IT department, close to $70,000. General insurance, $16,000. So I'm very pleased the way the year turned up. I think we are in the black, and I congratulate the department heads for doing a great job managing their departments overall. And I'll take any questions now, Madam Chair.
Steve, $70,000 returned from IT, did we defer some capital or something?
No, we had a position that we did not fill, we did not find the right person. So we don't hire if we don't.
So are you gonna budget for that again next year?
It's in this year's budget, yeah. We're looking. It's like, we don't spend it if we don't need it. They would have loved to move it over to capital, but we can't do that.
Madam Chairman? Yes. I would like to make a motion that we go into the public hearing that is scheduled for 7:50 from the SEMO, Inc., under 5A, B, and C.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Roll call. Phyllis, roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay.
Hello,
If you could identify yourself, sir, and
I'm attorney Michael Reardon, here on behalf of Nancy Turco and Massimo Turco.
Hello, everybody.
hi.
I have here, I'd want to give to you, sir, They took the tip certification class.
Great.
They had both taken it previously, but can't find their cards.
Okay.
Okay. Would you like to present on?
Yes, we're
Request.
here on behalf of Massimo's Ristorante. They'll be leasing the premises or a portion of the premises at 19 Center Street in Wakefield. They are requesting a wine and malt beverages liquor license. It's a 1,600 square foot space containing kitchen, dining room, one entrance, one exit, and seating for 50 people, as well as 2 bathrooms. They're renting from DL Properties, which has an address of 7 Franklin Street here in Wakefield. And we just hope that you'll approve our request.
Should we go through all three? Or?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request for the wine and malt license.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moving on to the next request for a common victual license.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Subject to Board of Health?
Oh, subject to the Board of Health.
Yeah. Absolutely. Does anyone from the public want to participate in this conversation? Seeing none, we will move on to the last request for, oh, we didn't vote on that.
Didn't vote on
Thank
that.
you very much. We need a vote on the common victualler, contingent upon Board of Health.
Right.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now moving on to the request for an entertainment license.
There won't be much of entertainment. It's more of a television,
Television and a
radio,
Okay.
no live music.
Yeah.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Discussion.
Yes, discussion.
No Keno, right?
No, no gambling, nothing,
Good.
just a restaurant.
Just good food.
Second.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Have a pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Good luck. Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we exit from that particular public hearing.
Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. So moved. So, we have 7 minutes until Rick.
We can probably finish up. Were there any questions on this, on the wrap-up?
Any questions on town administrators?
I would like to.
Wonderful job.
I was just gonna say, I'd like to congratulate you and your department heads, because I know where we were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were in tough shape, you know, we held our own, but it was tough. I remember having to come in, and I figured how much we had to cut in one fell swoop. I have a number in my mind, and I'm not 100% sure that was it, but it was not chump change, as they say.
500+ thousand
It
in
was,
October.
yeah, it's about $500,000 that we had to cut. So we're in very good shape, and I congratulate, as I said, you and your department heads, and everyone cooperating together. I think that's the name of the game.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion, comments? Steve, is there anything, the Main Street?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can, this one not so good.
Yeah, okay, moving on to.
Moving on.
Item agenda G. I think that's G. Main Street Parking Lot Environmental Report.
Yes, as the board may recall, during our purchase and sale period with Brightview, they were doing their due diligence, and they were checking the environmental condition of the parking lot that we were selling to them. And as you may recall, town council had very craftily put in the agreement that Brightview would be responsible for any and all cleanup of any items on the lot. Well, they did their due diligence, and there were a couple of areas that soil samples came in a little high in the areas of lead and benzopyrene. And these are reportable events, which means that we, as the owner of the property, are obligated, once we receive the report, to notify the Mass DEP and have the report, and have it looked at, and actually present them with something more than just this report, what our plans are. The DPW director and I have met with Weston and Sampson, who have handled a lot of issues for us over the years, and they are licensed site practitioners, and they are coming in and looking at the report and seeing what needs to be done to present our findings to the DEP. We don't know where this is going right now. I'm just making you aware of this. We are hopeful that this may be an event with minimal cleanup, if any. Benzopyrene, apparently, according to our LSP, is something that's out there a lot, no big deal. And the lead, as you continue going down, isn't so bad. It may be just background. For those of you that may recall, I think there was a fire there about 30 years ago, and everything was dumped into the hole, right? Just like at the Galvin site. So, we're hopeful that this won't be too bad. But we don't know. You don't know until you go into it. But I wanted to make the board aware of this as soon as I knew, and we certainly need to notify the DEP. So we are doing that, and we'll keep you apprised of that situation.
Through you, Madam Chairman.
Certainly.
And instead of, since the whole situation with Brightview is gone, it's off
Right.
the boards now, they were going to pick up the cost of this cleanup, were they not?
They were.
And now we will pick it up.
We will
The town
pick it up.
We'll have
Yes.
to pick it up
Yes.
when we get some sort of an assessment from DEP?
Exactly. When we get assessment from Weston Sampson, and then some sort of
From
assessment.
both, okay.
Now, maybe that we just cap it because it's
Right.
what it's used for right now.
Right.
And we'll take it from there.
Good, thank you. Not good, but.
Any other comments, questions? Can you do
I
each quickly?
sure can.
Excellent.
Yes.
Town administrator will present on the municipal gas and light department building, the disposition of that, the old building at, between 9 and 11 Albion
Well,
Street.
I am not gonna call it the municipal gas and light department building because it is the town of Wakefield's building.
sorry.
That's okay. They refer to
It
it as
says
that. Yes, I
MLD
know they do.
building.
But, the MLD, as you know, built a new, building on, Albion Street, on North Ave. And the building on Albion Street, they have, declared as surplus property. That building on North Ave on Albion Street is actually owned by the town of Wakefield. And I have the deed here that the town signed or took reception of in 1943. So that is town of Wakefield land. Talking with town council, belongs to the town, not the MLD. Be that as it may, what I'd like to do is to study what we should best do with this piece of property. There's been a lot of discussion about what we want to do with the downtown and whether we want to have an arts district and Main Street program. Is there something that we could use this building for to help that out? And I really would like if I could have a couple of board members that would be willing to work with me on this project, to look at the building, to assess it along with our DPW director to see what can and can't be done, and take it from there. But I think it is an opportunity at any event, and it will come back to this board for final disposition, but I would like some help with that, if that's okay.
Yes.
Steve, I support, and I'd be interested in helping out. I've walked through that building, I'm a building guy, and that is a gem of a building. It's an old brick, and upstairs, the offices have the old window transoms. It'd be a shame if we were to lose a building like that. It has a lot of character, a lot of architectural features that people would find pleasing, and, I'd support something to do with the arts if we could sustain it
Yeah.
in some way. It'd be a great idea.
Paul?
Echo the sentiments of Pat here, as far as the building is concerned. I wouldn't want to see that building be lost to anything, and if Steve would have me, I'd love to be part of it as well.
That sounds good.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
Looks like we have 2 subcommittee members already.
Perfect, yeah, great. And,
A good start.
We'll maybe
Fine
come back
start.
at the end of the summer, what have you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
nice start. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're good?
We're good. Is there a motion to move into our last public hearing of the night?
So
Fiscal
moved.
year 2014 water and sewer.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor? Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes. Welcome. The
Good
floor
evening,
is
Madam
yours.
Chair. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are
Very
you?
good.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. You have before you the memo on the water and sewer rates. And I have with me Carol Antonelli, my operations business manager. what you'll be voting on tonight is page 3 of that memo. The recommended water rate from the advisory board is $5.65 per 100 cubic feet for water, and the sewer rate is $10.45 per 100 cubic feet. Combined rate increase is 2.875%. It's one of the lowest rate increases we've had in the last 13 years, with the lowest one being last year. Some things that are interesting in setting this year's rate, consumption dropped considerably this year. We were down, the FY14 consumption was down a little over 6% from FY13 actual amount, and about 4.61% from the FY14 budgeted amount. And that's a concern, but we're hoping that it will come back up this year. But it's anybody's guess. You know, I encourage everybody in the community, a gallon of water, counting the sewer cost, is $1.94 cents. Okay, and if you go and buy a gallon of water, you're probably paying, at least $1.50. And if you go and buy the number of bottles of drinking water bottles like the ones in front of you, you're going to spend probably $12 for that water. So it's a real bargain, and we encourage everyone to use the drinking water. It's quality water, and really want people to do that, and it'll boost our consumption. And we're down, so you'll know, back in the early or late 80s, early 90s, we sold about a billion gallons a year. We're around 612 million gallons a year now. So our conservation effort is there. We need to now sell a little more water. And obviously when consumption declines, our revenues decline, and that impacts the operating costs. It impacts the rate. The rate's going to go up. It also impacts our capital ability to do capital projects, replace capital equipment, but also do water main improvements, sewer station improvements. If you look down at the bottom of the memo, 77.6% of our budget on the sewer side goes to the MWRA. 40.57% of the water budget goes to the MWRA. The increase, which is probably what everyone is concerned with, the increase for the coming year amounts to $48.60 per year, or about $12.15 per quarter after the discount is taken. Finally, our rate, when you look at the fourth page in on the chart, in the first page of the chart, but the fourth page in, we are lower than Reading by over $400 a year. We are lower than Stoneham after our discount, if you take the discount, by $37 a year. And we are lower than Melrose by about $530 a year. So similar communities, budget the same way, do similar things. We have a lower rate than they do. Okay. And if you look on the top part, you'll see the numbers in red. $5.65 on the water side will leave us with a, if everything was true, which obviously it won't be, but if everything held true, we would be short $1,135. That will come out of the reserve. On the sewer side, we would make $42,707. And when you go to the next few pages, page 5 on the water, you'll see down the bottom, the year-end projection on the reserve after we subtract out capital outlay and warrant articles. The $5.65 rate will give us a $449,000 and change reserve, and that will help cover us if there's a consumption shortfall, and hopefully give us some funding for projects in fiscal year 16. On the sewer side, we would be at $435,000 in change if all the numbers were, came out true. And that will also let us cover any shortages in consumption, emergencies, or any of those things. And if you have any questions, be glad to answer them.
Rick, you know, it's the same plea every year, use more water, to help us lower costs. At what point do we start looking at, you know, our infrastructure and our, you know, our, if you will, our team, and say, you know, we've got to adjust for this either through attrition or whatever, because it's similar to something I saw in the paper recently about, we tax people for smoking cigarettes, and then people stop smoking cigarettes while the revenue's gone, so,
Yep.
you know, it's a self-defeating system, kind of. So I think personally, I think it's the wrong message to say use more water, because people are gonna have to pay to use more water to get their rates to drop. So I think, you know, we have to start planning down the road, 10 years down the road, to adjust for this. I know you can't, it's like trying to turn the Queen Mary around.
Yeah, that's true.
But we've got to start somewhere at looking at efficiencies, and I'm sure you already are, but at the same time, if consumption boosts, you know, we have more revenues. That's where we get our revenues.
And over the years, we've made a number of cutbacks. The water department used to be over 18 people. We are currently at 16 people, and we really need 18 people. We've made cutbacks on the budget side, the operating side. However, we have done that carefully so that it's still a well-structured budget. It does not, because there's too many regulations in the water and sewer industry not to have a well-structured budget.
I guess as your infrastructure gets older too, I mean, the cost doesn't go away to operate everything and to provide the water. It's just that the consumption goes down. We're telling people to conserve. Toilets are coming through with, you know, a half a gallon per flush nowadays, or whatever. Things have changed.
That's why if you're drinking bottled water, you're actually gonna save money by using tap water. So we're selling more water, but it's not going to bottled water. It's coming out of the tap, and you're gonna save as an individual.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a key. So,
Good point.
you know, we're not saying water your lawnmower or anything like that,
Selling our product.
but we're selling our product for the survival need of drinking water instead of bottled water.
Fair enough.
The school taps.
Huh?
The school taps will help too.
If
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
may too, I think, I was in a couple of schools last week with Rick, and I think the next program we should do in the schools, and the MWRA did it in the early 80s, we have to get back in the schools and encourage the kids to buy the plastic container I bring every day to work. I do not buy water. I bring it every day, a jug of it. So many kids walk around with the plastic bottles. I mean, first of all, the cost, it's just foolish. It would cost me about $5 a day if I bought water. I think that's maybe the next program we can do, and MWRA does come in and encourage that, and talks about the tap and how lucky we are to have the wonderful water we have.
And as
In
Steve
comparison.
just reminded me, we've put in, if you look at the bubbles that we've put into the high school and that are going into the middle school, they encourage people to use tap water, and you can fill up bottles very easily. And it was probably a bigger hit than the fields
Yeah.
when
Right.
those went in.
I gotta tell you that I was at a school committee meeting, and the student reps were talking about how yeah, the fields are great in the new field house, but those water things, they get filtered water, they can
Right.
refill their own
Yeah.
containers, and that is taking bottles out of the landfill and increasing consumption, which we want, so that may help a little bit.
Yeah.
Through you, Madam Chairman, I think that's an excellent idea. The parents of the kids in the school system have enough things to worry, not to worry about, but constantly being asked to either fundraise or pay this, pay that, pay the other thing. And if this could be some sort of an educational thing, with the school department, I think it would be wonderful for the parents.
Right.
And kids will adapt very easily to things
Yeah,
like
and if we
that.
get them in like the recycling, the K through 3,
Yeah.
those are the grades to get them so
And it would
they
also
understand.
alleviate some of the expenditures that the parents have to come up with on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
It adds up.
I'll look into that with the MWRA. I know that one of the events we had a couple of years ago, they did come out with coloring books and crayons and all that good stuff, but I think we could do something in the fall.
It's too bad we
to
couldn't talk
encourage
them
that.
into providing the containers for the kids.
Well, we might be able to
That's
do.
not a bad idea, though.
Really?
We may be able to get someone to sponsor it, because
Sponsor it,
I'm using the
right.
one that I received at the American Water Works, and I said to Rick, it's the best
Yeah.
gift I've gone home with from all of these
Right.
crazy
Right.
seminars you go to,
When they
and I've been
become
using it.
freshmen, they get a
And they win
bottle.
the dishwasher, yeah. I think really, and you know what, the more you, like, if you go to your local gyms, it's actually odd to see somebody come in with a bottle of Poland Springs now. It's just,
Yeah.
it's like the smoking now, it's just not the norm.
And
There you go.
the key
We
to,
enjoy it, Betsy. I'm not criticizing, we enjoy it. It's good not to be the norm.
and the key
I
to.
contribute to the taxes.
Yeah.
You know.
The key too is that this year we're doing 3 booster stations.
Betsy's one of your best customers.
Yeah.
I do enjoy a
We're
nice
doing
bottle of
3
water,
booster
thank you.
stations on the sewer side of 815,000 that's coming out of the reserve. Because we were hoping to go along every year and do that. We had to actually hold off
Yep.
to build that up. We'll have 2 left to do that are still extremely old. And I don't know if we'll be able to put those in next year's budget. We'll be able to tell as we get closer. And they need to be done. On the water side, we need to be replacing water mains and to upgrade those systems. On the sewer side, again, the sewer mains, we did some TV investigation for the paving project. There was a bunch of main that's collapsed and deteriorated in there that we've been in the process of fixing the past few weeks before we pave. So that money is gonna have to come from someplace.
As this is a public meeting, does anyone from the public want to make any comments? Okay.
Page
Great.
3.
I'd just like to thank you for the report was very easy to follow for someone this isn't my field, and I found it very easy to follow and understand all the rates, so thank you for that. Moving on to the votes, we need 4 votes, 3 votes?
3,
4
4,
votes.
5.
Oh,
5 votes, there's 2 under the water.
okay, I see.
So we have I'll make a motion to approve the water rate at $5.65, $5.65 per 100 cubic feet.
So
That's-
moved. Second.
That's one vote, right?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is the second one the
The
Base-
second meter base.
second-
The base
I'll-
charge,
I'll-
which is the same as currently is.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we keep the second meter base charge of $18 plus the current water rate per quarter, and no change.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion for the sewer rate, that the sewer rate goes to $10.45 per 100 cubic feet.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll make a motion that the sewer flat rate goes to $313.50 per quarter.
Second.
Any discussion? Phyllis?
I'm voting aye reluctantly, because I just think every year, the water and sewer rates get higher and higher. And I listen to the people around me. It's terrible. I mean, do we absolutely, I know you try the hardest that you can, Mr. Stinson, but I really don't want to raise the water and sewer rates. I don't.
Well, if you didn't, based on the budget and the capital that was, and the warrant articles that were funded, you would end up in the red and it would come out of the tax levy next year.
Okay, all right, I'm voting aye reluctantly.
So on that last, just so we have that last vote, the flat rate of the sewer?
$313.50 per quarter.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Elect him.
Do you need a vote on the septic disposal rate?
Yes.
So I'll make a motion that the facility opening and maintenance charge of $105 per delivery, disposal cost of 100 cubic feet is charged at the current sewer rate, off-hour disposal rate additional, minimum 3 hours at a current W9 scale times 1.5.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
What? Don't go away.
Oh,
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Mr. Stinson a question, important for people to know. As long as you're here, because I know you can really answer the question
Okay.
about the trash removal. What are the rules? You know, when they leave the couches, the chairs, and everything, could you explain so that they really understand what's going on? And maybe I'm misinterpreting it. Is it the rule that, or whatever we're gonna do, that once a month, they will collect chairs, trash, whatever, a certain day at the end of the month, but the people have to call and say, but is it gonna be that one day at the end of every month?
No, it's
Okay.
not.
You gotta explain it,
okay.
because people are really confused about this.
The new program will begin on September 29th.
Right,
For the automated refuse collection. And I'll go through the things that haven't changed. White goods, and we sent out a whole package of information to you. White goods will be collected the last full week of the month on your regular trash day. That's the same as it is now. There is a $20 sticker charge, that has
Right,
not
right.
changed.
They understand
That's the
that,
same.
right.
Okay. TVs and CRTs, currently there's 3 times a year you can bring them down to Nahat Street.
Right,
You will be able to do that in August.
right.
Once we get-
understand that, too.
Once we get into, after September 29th, the last full week of the month, we will be picking up TVs and CRTs curbside. There's still the $20 fee that exists, and you'll come down to the town hall to pay for that and get a sticker. And you do have to call to make arrangements for that, so we know we're not just driving all over town. It wastes a lot of time doing that. On the bulky items, there is no cost, that has not changed. Bulky items right now are picked up on your regular trash day.
Right.
What's gonna happen under the new system after October or September 29th is that they will be picked up every Friday. Every week, they'll be picked up on a Friday, and they'll do the whole town. You will have to call by noontime on Thursday to let us know that you have bulky items.
But you will do that every Friday?
Every Friday, correct.
But they have to call, and all you have to do is call and say, we have a bulky item here.
Right, and you tell them, we've limited it to 2. Obviously, if you put out a table and 4 chairs, which is kind of a set, they're gonna take the whole thing. If you have 4 couches, they're gonna take 2. Okay? They're not gonna take 4 couches.
No.
There are other things that you will be able to recycle now that you can't under our existing system. Take a plastic chair that you might have in the backyard, that is all plastic, those, I don't know what you call them, but you will be able to throw that out with your recycling every other week. A laundry basket that you have at home, you'll be able to get rid of that with recycling. Before, we didn't take those items. Pie pans, pizza boxes, as long as there's no oil stain inside, because that contaminates the box. You'll be able to do pizza boxes. There are a lot of new things you'll be able to do. The recycling portion of the program, which is single stream manual, and the reason it's manual is because they come along with a rubbish packer and they dump it with a person in the back, and it's not an automated system. If the new truck will say recycling on it, occasionally you might see a truck that doesn't, if there was a breakdown with that truck. Most times it's gonna say it's a recycling truck, but it will be a rubbish packer. That will probably confuse people more than anything. It is not going to the incinerator. It's going over to the recycling facility to be disposed of, and they sort it over there instead of homeowners sorting that. You can put out as many containers for recycling as you would like. We've just ordered 15,000 stickers, so you can use a regular trash barrel for recycling, and we'll give you stickers, as many as you want, to put on those. You can use your current recycling bin if you want. I'm gonna use a barrel, it's a little easier on my back.
Mr. Stinson, since we're on the subject, I have a question. The current provider, I'm not sure if they're gonna get the contract with the new program or not. It shouldn't matter. We're still under contract with the current provider to maintain our trash pickup the way it is until September
Just
29th.
29th, correct.
I got a call about this the other day. Does the trash that's in a barrel need to be in a bag?
It does not.
I'm just asking the
I
question
think it's the
because
best thing to do, but it does not.
I
Yeah.
don't tell people how to put their trash
Right,
out,
yeah.
nor do I
Yeah,
care how they
yeah.
put their trash out.
Right.
But this person got in an argument with their trash provider because the trash provider drove off and left their trash out there because they didn't put the trash inside the barrel in a bag.
It doesn't have to be, no.
So I told him
I'll
I
check
didn't think
on
it
that,
had to
yeah,
be, but
yeah.
you might want to have a talk
Yeah.
with your trash provider.
You know,
Just-
I did have, Phyllis will get mad at me, I did have I was lucky enough to catch her on Saturday at the festival, and I had Phyllis roll the container around, and she asked a very good question, what happens when it's filled, and I opened it up, and
Yeah, he
it was
fooled
filled
me.
right to the top.
He was playing a game with me.
I tried to get her on TV,
Oh,
but
no
there was
way.
no way.
One quick question, since we're talking trash, as it were. Can we get rid of our old recycling bins in this trash?
We're working on that.
Oh, okay.
We don't know whether we're gonna pick them up
Oh, okay.
separately and try to reuse maybe some of them, or we're just gonna say get rid of them
Right.
in the, when the recycler comes along to
Right.
pick that up. I will say this, the recycling, which everyone, is really starts September 29th. We're gonna start that early on the recycling part. I have not given out a date yet because we still need to sort until June, the end of, or till July 1st. So we wanna be sorting till then, which is really next week, once, well, actually, this week.
Yep.
After this week, that can change, and then we're gonna advertise that that program has started. Okay.
Excellent.
I would just suggest that the documents that you provided us, Rick, are excellent, and that the graphics are good and very easy to follow. So I assume they're on your website, or will be?
They are all gonna go on the website, correct?
Okay, and I would suggest they also go on the town website. Just a second place for folks to
Yeah.
see what can be done, what can be recycled, trash pickup. So, great.
There
Thank
is
you.
one there. Do you have the one on donations? Is that in that one? We finished that Friday, so I don't think that's in there.
I don't see
The
that.
new material has a flyer that has places that you can donate, whether it be furniture, clothing,
Oh, great.
whatever. They'll come and pick it up, so there's about 5 or 6 companies listed there. There are also some recycling facilities and people that will come if you're doing a clean out. They're listed there. There are some fees with those
Yep.
places. And then we have the DEP listings where they have a whole bunch of places that take recycling stuff.
Great.
So there are ways to get rid of things, and we're encouraging people to donate as much as they can, okay? There will be a final booklet that's put together that will go out to everybody, will be a mailer. There'll also be a flyer that goes with the container that tells people how to put it out at the street and everything. We've done, so far, we've done a press release. We've had all this information we've given out to the third graders in our, last week in our recycling program, and we would bring the smallest third grader up and have them move that filled container. Problem is, they don't want to stop. We've also, obviously, went down to the festival, and probably had more, which was very good, more people come up this year than we have in the past 5 or 6 years. So that was a bonus, and we'll be going to the senior center, and we'll be setting up, we're doing a cable show. I talked to Tom Stapleton today about that, and we're gonna go out and film another communities with the vehicle picking up and unloading, and then we'll do a demo in the studio and stuff.
So
Madam Chairman, I'm gonna make a motion that we come out of public hearing.
we were trying to do that, but it was going on a good move.
We all got carried away.
Yes, we did get carried away with trash. It's a little sexy tonight. Coming out of public hearing, roll call?
Yep.
Yes.
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 Did we have a second to my motion?
Second. We didn't, but you do.
Yeah, we
now.
do. Yes.
Just for decorum.
Excellent. And I can't imagine that anyone could complain there wasn't enough information given.
Well, I'm sure there will be, but
I know there will be. I understand
we're
there will
working
be,
hard so that doesn't happen.
but every venue has been hit and distributed, so you've done a great job. Mr. Donaco.
Real quickly, Rick, when will the stickers be ready for the barrels?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we could, that's still an option for everyone, if they just bought barrels, that they can put these stickers on
Correct.
and use those for the recycle bins.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you. Okay, I think we, out of order, but we hit everything on the agenda. Going around the table for comments?
Madam Chair, if you
Yes.
don't mind, I thought I'd take a chance at answering Ms. Filaramo's question. The question was, what is the rationale of the board's current regulations concerning hawkers and peddlers? I doubt that I can do a more articulate job than Mark Sardella did in a recent article in the item, but here's my effort. I'd say there are 4 concerns. First, there's a desire simply to enforce statutes which have been on the books for decades. Hawkers and peddlers are legally defined as people who sell moving from place to place or from town to town. Just what that means is undefined in the statutes, but it certainly can't mean that you set up shop in one place and you stay there always. That's inconsistent with the very concept. And so the regulations of this board, which now require that a hawker or peddler move at least every 2 hours and move from one place to another at least 100 feet, is an attempt to give some meaning to that vague statutory term. Second, there's a concern that hawkers and peddlers compete with brick and mortar stores and restaurants in Wakefield, paying no taxes and possibly not even including meals taxes. And this at a time when our brick and mortar restaurants are facing tough competition from, among other places, Market Street. Third, there's a desire to make sure that the public way is not obstructed. Now, when we talk about the public way, we mean 2 things. First, there's the traveled path where the cars and trucks go, and obviously we can't let any peddlers there, it would be dangerous. And second, there's the sidewalk, and there you allow peddlers to move from place to place, but they cannot move or stay in a place for longer than 2 hours in such a way as to obstruct pedestrians. So wherever you put your cart or whatever your thing is, you have to make sure that pedestrians and baby carriages can get around. And finally, there's concern about what happens if you stop other than on the public way. If you're not on the public way, you're on a lot owned by somebody. And I don't think there is any lot in town where it is not a zoning violation to set up a peddler's cart, at least without a special permit. And so it's a zoning violation by itself if you set up on a lot, and beyond that, it's a trespass unless you have the affirmative assent of the lot owner, who again, probably doesn't have the zoning right to assent. So for all of these reasons, whether, any given individual accepts them as a good rationale or not, these are, as I understand it, the rationale of your board for the new regulations.
Thank you. Phyllis? Any comments? No, I just was moving to Phyllis, if you done.
I'm all done.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. At our last meeting, I made a request, and I'm going to ask the board to please negate that request, because the people that I admire the most, that have helped me the most, that mean so much to me, the veterans, I have been, I don't want to say inundated, but I've been getting so many calls. They have given me such a difficult time because they do not want the farm stand on the common, on the Veterans Common. And they had very good reasons for it. And I brought that forward because what I was trying to do was bring more business down into the town. And so they understood what I was trying to say, but they said there's plenty of other places in town that we can do that. And I went down and I had a talk with Wendy Dennis, because she was really very nice about that. And she certainly understood, and she had a feeling that the veterans would not like it there. And I can understand their reasoning too. And so I would request, please, that Town Administrator Mayo meet with her. She'd be even willing to stay where she is, but to make some other concessions or some other decisions as to if we want to bring it closer to town, which I hope we will. There must be other places that I hope we will. But I would like us to make sure that it is not on the World War II Memorial Common. And I would ask that my request be granted.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Do I need a
Now
vote
you're
for
safe.
that?
No argument here.
No argument.
All right, thank
We
you.
were quite shocked
I
when
hope
you
they're all
suggested-
listening to me tonight, and I won't get any
You won't be
more
safe.
phone calls. Thank you.
Thank you. As I promised to three people, one that I spoke with on the phone, and two that I responded in email fashion to. I would like to bring up some of the things that have been, I'd like to cure some, or correct some misinformation following through Attorney Mullen's comments, and some misinformation and misinterpretation of some of the things that have gone on about the vendors and the peddlers. First of all, before I do anything, I'd like to thank the people that did contact me. And I'd also like to congratulate our only public participation person on the birth of her first grandchild. So you, Janet, and Janet is the one that I called back, and we had an animated conversation. Two shrinking violets on the phone together. Attorney Mullen, Mr. Mayo, would you correct me if anything that I say is incorrect? First of all, as Mr. Mullen said, this was always there. The bylaw was always there, it just wasn't enforced. In or around the spring of 2013, there was some pressure put to bear, I know on me personally, I can't speak for anyone else, complaining about the peddlers not moving and the so forth and so on. All of them, not just one person. Right. We felt at that meeting, and I believe it was in the spring of 2013, that it was too close to the season when peddlers and hawkers would be out there. It would be unfair, and it would be a miserable thing to do to anybody to put the law right into enforcement right then and there. So they got a buy in 2013 for that summer. And that's a fact, and it was a unanimous vote. In 2013, it was brought back, and I'm not on Facebook. I'm really not. And I have no vendetta against this man. I wouldn't know him if he was sitting here tonight. You could be the man. I don't know. Well, I'm just saying, I don't know the man. I have nothing personal against him. Everyone should be treated fairly across the board, though. I feel firmly about that. So I have no vendetta against him. And it was not on the agenda tonight. It never was going to be in the agenda, as I explained to Janet and the two people that I've emailed. I said I'd speak about it going around the table. It was not an agenda item. It could not be brought up on the agenda. It would violate the open meeting law, okay? And it was not going to be an executive session, which was the latest thing that was bandied about. I mean, you know, my grandmother used to say, if you read in the paper, it must be true. Well, if you hear it on Facebook, it's not necessarily true, and people could have picked up the phone. Some of the man called, but he didn't leave his name, so I had no intention of calling him back. But anyway, in September of 2013, it was brought back to the board, and three people that it affected came in here that night, Steve. One was from Revere, who's over at Wildflowers, correct me if I'm wrong. The second one, and I don't know her I do know her last name, and I can't think of it, Annie from Saugus, I can't think of her last name. What is it?
Lucy?
Annie Lucy from Saugus, and the gentleman from Fred's Franks came in. And I specifically said to them all that night, and I was sitting right up there when I said it, I said, we're giving you months ahead, it's gonna go into effect on January 2014. Brace yourself, prepare yourselves for this. You got a free ride this summer, that's fine. No problem with it at all. But fair warning, it's coming down the pike, so prepare accordingly. Well, they did or they didn't. But I also found out in doing some investigation of this, that in 2012, the state, and I'm gonna get very specific with Fred's Franks, was notified by the state in October of 2012 that he was trespassing on state land, and that's just the way it is. Also, that land is Converse land, and there is no lease that we know of between Converse and the entity. And thirdly, this town property. So some people said, well, move the farmer's market every 2 hours. We gave them permission to use town land. We didn't give that other person permission to use town land over there, but we gave the farmer's market town land, so we're trying to be fair with everyone. Attorney Mullen has notified this gentleman to remove himself from our town property. There has been no permission given to use that property. And as far as we know, he has no authority on the land owned by Converse and Beal. And I would like to throw out something else. I know the gentleman has been told that he polices the area. Well, most people should. You should police the area if there's a mess there where you are. He pays meal taxes as far as we know. We're not sure whether they come to Wakefield because the entity is licensed out of North Reading, I believe. Is that correct, Steve?
Correct.
So we're not 100% sure, but that's not the greatest thing in the world. They all should pay their meal taxes. And I'd just like to give the people out there some of the information. The local meal taxes paid by the restaurants in this town, $196,000 in FY11, $231,000 in FY12, $243,000 in FY13. Only in 3 quarters of FY14, we're up to $245,000 already that people are paying into and we get the benefit of, all right? Local restaurants, the brick and mortar that Attorney Mullen spoke about, pay property taxes as well. And right now, it's approximately $180,000. They also pay personal property taxes on their equipment, which is probably $20,000 or so. And if we add it up, it's between $465,000 and $500,000 for this year, all right? And that's a big chunk of change. That doesn't count their licensing fees. They pay for a common victualer's license. We did it tonight. They can get an all-alcohol license. And this isn't short money. It's a couple $100 per, correct?
Well, the all alcohol is
Is
$3,000?
$3,000.
Yeah.
Plus
All
an
right.
annual fee.
Plus every year.
This is every year, all right? A beer and wine license, an entertainment license, they pay for that. They pay towards the water, the sewer bills that we set tonight. They pay towards electricity. They're also hit by every civic and charitable group in this community. And it's very difficult. I owned a restaurant. I'll tell you, it's very difficult to say no to someone that's at your place every single day or once a week or whatever. And I was on the Wakefield-Linfield line. I got hit by both communities. My sister and I said, fine, we have to do it. And people say, well, you can write it off. Well, that's easy to say. They give to every civic group, you know.
Absolutely.
You're down there for the Italian festival, for the Irish festival, for the holiday stroll. Sports groups are in there, 4th of July. I mean, these people are working their brains off, and I was told, well, the slush, some of the kids work in the community. These restaurants employ people that live in this community that pay taxes. There are mothers down there, I know in one particular restaurant, there's a couple of waitresses that, have kids in the schools, and they're working during the school hours, and that's fine. But I just wanted to get that out there. Look, I'm not after this guy. I don't know him. I wouldn't know him if I fell over him. But fair is fair, and it should be enforced with all of them. We have bylaws in this town. There was no hue and cry when we got rid of all of the vehicles down on, next to the liquor store down there. Nobody was up in arms, and we enforced a bylaw that we created, actually. That was a new bylaw. This has been around forever, all right? We have to, if somebody said, why don't you, I forget who it was, I think it was a woman, I won't get into her name because I didn't have time to answer it tonight. Why don't you enforce the laws? We do enforce the laws. We do worry about crime. There's nobody driving backwards down Albion Street. There's nobody running stop signs. We enforce it if people park in handicapped areas. We're trying to keep this up. This is something that came up. We were told we were not enforcing it. We enforce it, and it's nothing personal as far as I'm concerned. My big thing was, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. They all follow the rules, every one of them. Okay, and that's how I feel. Town administrator and I have spoken, and I'm sorry I'm belaboring this, but I wanted to explain it to the people that had some misinformation out there. Okay, it's just the way it is. Steve and I have talked several times about this particular issue, and I agree with him 100% on something that, if, with your permission, Madam Chairman, that he would, we've talked about places that we know that could alleviate. We're not trying to drive this guy out of town, for heaven's sakes, but he's got to work with us as well. And he has ignored the state and the town, and that's just not the way it can be. It just can't be. We can't have it. So if I could, through you, Madam Chairman, just ask Steve to comment on what he and I have been talking about.
Absolutely.
Yes, I did actually, and I actually met with Carl Galasso, came in to see me today, unannounced.
What does he look like? No, I'm only kidding. I
It's
don't
not this
know.
gentleman over
No,
here.
it's not him.
But in any event, I think, and I'll tell you what I said to him. I said to him, you know, you really aren't a peddler. You really don't fit that mold. It's a big rig that you have and what have you, and you keep saying you want to be part of the community. I want you to be part of the community as well. Why don't you work with us and maybe we can help find you? And I know bricks and mortar is expensive, but there may be something, I'm thinking Lawson's in Lawrence, which is a kind of a permanent sort of structure. We have picnic tables outside. And actually, to his credit, he's actually looked at some places downtown, in the downtown of Wakefield, to move his business to. There's a place in Salem, I think it's called Boston Frank's, I can't think of what it is, right across from the courthouse. There's a line out that door every day. But it's a brick and mortar, it's in the middle of the city. And I think it will work for Carl and for his business. I think his product is great. I commend him for wanting to be part of the community, but I told him he really had to come in and be part of the community if he wanted to and get into this. So I told him I'm certainly willing to talk to some of the owners that I know around town to see if they're willing to look at that. And if everything works out, Attorney Mullen mentioned zoning, you've got to come in for some permitting sometime. That happens to everybody. We had people in here tonight. But it could work out very well for him, and he even told me he was looking for places like that out of Wakefield as well, and had been before this all happened. So I think this can work into a success story. I understand his product is very good. I'm not allowed to go there the past few years from Mrs. Mayo. I'll take it from Mr. Clint that it's a good product. But I think that we can work with them, and we will work with them. But the rules are for everybody. All of the peddlers have been in, not happy about the fact that they have to move. But as Attorney Mullen said, by definition, a peddler is one that is supposed to move from place to place.
I appreciate your comments. I appreciate the time given. Thank you, members of the board. And as I said, I didn't mean to belabor it, but I think it's very important to know that this board, with a unanimous vote, every one of us voted for it. And we owe it to the people in the community to be fair, because for every person that's upset about this, trust me, I hear from people that don't think it's quaint, don't think it should be there. So everyone's entitled to his or her own opinion. You're gonna have both sides of any story either way. Some are more vocal, some aren't. Some will come and say something, others will just stay at home. You know, so that's as much as I can explain it, but I have nothing against this guy. That was the most important. I don't even know, for God's sake.
Yeah, I should have also mentioned that a number of brick and mortar businesses have come in
Right.
expressing concern that, you know, the rules are a little bit different for what they need to do and what, you know, other peddlers need to do. So that is part that comes into our office too.
Thank you.
Mr. Janaka.
What's with you?
Seeing that Ms. Sharon forgot, don't forget the food pantry.
Oh, shame on me.
But anyway, I knew you weren't finished yet.
I was finished, trust me.
Just a couple of things on my end. On Wednesday at 8 a.m. At the Public Safety Building for any retail, restaurant, or storefront business owner in Wakefield. There is a free workshop for them that is being put on by the Board of Selectmen and the Area Chamber of Commerce. And it's an business improvement workshop. We received a $10,000 grant, and we would like to open that up to all the business owners to come down and see what they can learn in regards to improving their place of business. So that's Wednesday, June 25th, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Public Safety Building. You can contact the town planner and pre-register to attend. I would like to also go into the one part of the Italian Festival. We mentioned the Saturday event, but tickets will soon go on sale for the Festival Italia dinner, which will be held once again at the Sheraton Colonial. Tickets are $30 per person. It has multiple restaurants donating food for the event. There'll be dancing, there'll be music. Another sellout event will occur that night, so get your tickets early for that one. I had the opportunity on Friday evening to address the Relay for Life. They celebrated their 15th birthday, I want to say, instead of their anniversary. It was a very moving opening ceremony. A lot of people who were attending, 139 I believe 139 cancer patients, survivors were at the event that day. A nice event that they put on up there, and an excellent job as usual. I think I've covered everything I wanted to. No, thank you.
Yeah, just quickly, I want to echo what Betsy had to say. I heard from a lot more people concerned with having hawkers and peddlers, and it would be a double standard for us to just, this gentleman had been there for a long time, Fred's Franks, and it was talked about, I think, going way back to 2004, 2005, this whole thing had come up. He had been given break after break after break, and if we say it's okay for him to set up shop, then guess what? The whole lake could be, and we'd be very biased if we said yes to this person and no to some other person who had a different business that we didn't find desirable. So it would have gotten into some hypocritical, for the Board of Selectmen, some hypocritical situations. It was a difficult decision. I feel the same way that Steve and Betsy do. I don't hold anything against this gentleman. I'll admit it, I was a customer more than once, and his product was great, but, you can't sit here and say, it's okay for this vendor, but not okay for that vendor, or that peddler, or hawker, whatever you want to call them. So, on another note, downtown, there's been a lot of talk about improving business and improving streetscape and so forth, and I know that we're working diligently with the light commissioners to get the streetlights. I don't know what could possibly be taking so long to get these lights. I read the memo from Mr. Dion, but I still can't fathom what is taking so long. That's number one. Number two, I'm not a horticulturalist, nor am I a landscape architect, but to me, it sure looks like the trees downtown are overgrown. Usually the tree trunks are about 15 feet high, so at street level, all you see is tree trunks. And all the greenery does is block the signage for the businesses that we're trying to help. So if you're driving down the street, you see a nice green tree, but you block the signage. They seem to be defeating the purpose of what they were there for. I don't think the sidewalks are wide enough for them to provide enough shade for people walking down the street. I think we ought to think about two easy things we could do is hopefully the gas and light department gets in gear and gets our new street lights put in, number one. And number two, we take a look at our greenery downtown, and maybe we go with a different plan, some landscaping boxes or something along the street level or something. But what's there, to me, seems to be a failure.
very briefly to echo what Betsy and others have said, I've heard from people who aren't fans of the concept of Fred Franks, not challenging what he puts out, but I think based on the tone that's on Facebook, they're not about to post that they're not happy. And these are neighbors. These are people that have lived there their whole lives. But I appreciate, and what we've been trying to say for the past several months, is if he works with us to try to do something within the community, as opposed to ignoring requests and notices. Now he came in, you had a conversation, I think that's a great start.
Right.
So we're not looking to put this man out of business, but again, we've heard from other businesses and people play by the rules. So to work within the community, to be a part of the community, I think is great. So I hope it continues. And I don't think we will see folks before the 4th of July.
I had a couple things.
Oh,
Don't-
Steve. I was gonna say happy 4th.
You're gonna get a motion to adjourn, I'd be in
Yes.
trouble.
Nope, sorry, definitely, town administrator.
Sakura Restaurant, which is our first outdoor table restaurant. They are requesting that this board hold a hearing regarding their alcohol license. And as they were told when they came in here, is that they need to alter that if they wish to serve alcohol outstairs. So I'd ask that the board set up a public hearing on that at our next meeting, which will be July 21st, and have that at 7:45 PM. And like, the board would move that, that'd be great. Motion?
Motion?
anybody?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And the only other thing I had, Madam Chairman, I'm sorry to jump in, is
No,
that
go ahead.
tomorrow at 10 o'clock, the town planner and I will be in Boston addressing the state's Economic Assistance Coordinating Council with our application to become an economic target area. So
Great, good
I
luck.
will let you guys all know how that goes. I
Great.
always go into these things very positive, and this will allow us to really take a major step
Great.
forward and to work with the business community and offering tax incentives and what have you to invest in Wakefield. So
Good
we're
luck.
very hopeful. So
Awesome.
thank you.
That's great.
And that's it.
Okay.
Motion to
Everyone?
adjourn?
Have a safe and happy 4th
So
of
moved.
July. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Excellent. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right,
Good job, Madam Chair.
thank you.